Welcome to Yoga with Kaila. Let's relax and move our body with our breath. If you are loving these videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hello, I'd like to welcome you to our Yoga for Anxiety class. So we're going to begin this practice laying on our back. So we're just going to press our feet down into the mat, rolling those shoulders open nice and wide, allowing our sacrum to fall into the mat. And we're just going to begin this practice with some deep belly breaths. So bringing our hands to that belly, and just seeing if you can breathe into the sides of your belly, bringing some awareness to our breath, and just noticing that the path that the breath is traveling. So often when we are suffering with anxiety, we tend to breathe very much into our upper chest and to this upper alignment within our body. And so we want to try and breathe a little deeper. And then often we breathe into that belly, creating that big belly breath. But we're looking for that lateral expansion, the expansion through the rib cage and the side body here. So seeing if you can bring that breath into the palms of your hand. Can you breathe that belly nice and wide? And as it expands, stopping for just a moment at the top. And then as you exhale, noticing that belly button sinking down towards that spine. Taking some breaths here. Nice, long, deep inhales and exhales in and out of your nose. Take one more deep breath. And as you exhale, let's bring our knees in towards our chest. Just rocking side to side. Noticing what that feels like on your low back. Just playing around. Maybe you like to rock one leg at a time. Maybe you do some figure eights. Whatever feels good to you here. Taking a nice deep inhale with our neck, shoulders down. And as we exhale, let's bring that head, neck, and shoulders up, tucking into this tiny little ball. Inhaling, placing our feet down onto the mat, arms flowing tall, lifting our glutes up towards the ceiling, finding bridge. Exhale, slowly lowering those glutes back and down, rolling back and curling into that tiny little ball. And just flowing with your own breath here. As we inhale, we reach, extend, feeling our body lengthen, finding space. And as we exhale, we practice curling back into that tiny little safe ball. Inhaling. So using your own breath to guide you at your own pace here. You can go as fast or as slow as you'd like. Let's do two more, just like this. And just see if you can lengthen those inhales and those exhales. Can you find space? Can you pause at the top or can you pause at the bottom? Can you count how long they're taking? And can you find one more second on each inhale and exhale? Let's go ahead and plant our feet back down onto our mat. We're going to take that bridge pose again, but this time our hands are going to fall down by our sides. So lifting up through our glutes, lifting our hips up towards the sky. So we're going to find bridge here. If you have a block, you could choose to bring this to your inner thigh. If you don't have a block, there's no requirement to do so. So I'm going to invite you to try and relax your glutes while keeping your hips up nice and high. Can you find a little bit of releasing of that tension? Can you keep those hips up nice and high and release that tension on the back side of your body? Do you notice it melt all through that low back? Can you release that tension? Your hips don't have to be at the highest point. It can just be hanging out here. And if it feels good to you, let's begin to sway side to side. Just bringing that awareness into our hips, noticing what the side to side feeling feels like. Can we let those hips hang? All right, so now just hovering our hips. So we're not going to have them in full extension. We're going to relax them and keep them hovered above the mat. And just beginning to breathe space in through that tailbone. Can you find a way of tilting your pelvis to relax that low back? Can you find a way to relax that tailbone a little longer and to breathe a little deeper into that spine? Can you send nice, rich, oxygenated blood all the way to the tip of your spine? And being aware of the path that your breath is traveling here in this moment. Can you breathe to the tip of your spine while breathing laterally into the sides of your belly with your hips lifted? And so maybe that's a lot to ask, and maybe this is too much for us today. And that's okay. We can bring our hips back down if it feels better to us. The whole idea here is we begin to listen to our body and understand what it is our body is looking for. Finding space and finding the opportunity to be here in the present moment. Anxiety lives in the future and it lives in the past. Anxiety doesn't live right here in this very present moment, because here in this present moment we are engaged with our breath, we are calm, and we are centered. Taking one more deep inhale here. Exhale, let's lower those sit bones back and down. And let's roll onto our bellies. So rolling all the way over, we're going to bring our hands down by our sides into our baby cobra position. So extending those legs out nice and long here. Finding that cobra tail, that nice long tail. Taking a nice deep inhale here. Lifting just the upper back up. Squeezing through those back muscles. Lifting chest, heart center lifts. Take a nice deep inhale. Come on, staying lifted. You got this. Exhale, let that forehead come back and down. So tucking our chin, just slightly, finding that nice long spinal alignment. Taking a nice deep inhale here, rolling those shoulders back and down, lifting that heart center up one more time. Breathing. Exhale, lower back down. Let's do one more, just like that. Taking a nice deep inhale here, lifting, using that nice, beautiful, strong back that we have. Maybe we're sliding, pressing our hands into our mat, sliding our hands down the mat just slightly, tucking those elbows towards the spine. Exhale, let it go. Let's press it back, rolling through our knees, pressing it back into a puppy. So puppy, our bum stays nice and high towards the sky and our hands come down. So it's kind of like a child's pose and it's kind of like a downward facing dog. But the beautiful thing about puppy is that we just find that space in through that lower abdomen. And we feel that tension melt away from our spine. So while we're in puppy here, let's rock through that forehead, side to side. And we're just going to begin to just bring some awareness to that space between our eyebrows. And as we rock side to side through that space between our eyebrows, I want you to notice that the anxiety and the tension within our body begins to melt away. So this is part of our ventral branch of our vagus nerve, right? And this is that calming sensation, that relaxing sensation within the body that this vagus nerve does in the ventral branch. So we're creating that calm, that relaxation. Taking one more inhale here. Exhale, coming onto all fours. Beautiful. Okay, so from all fours, we're going to take our right foot and we're going to step it to the outside of our right hand. So stepping it out nice and wide, turning those toes slightly out. So you notice that it's going to be kind of like a lunge, but it's a wide stance lunge. We're going to lift our right hand, bringing our right hand to our right sit bone or the inside of our right leg. And we're going to take a nice deep inhale here and we're going to exhale, twisting towards that right knee. So if you're looking for what it looks like from the front, that foot is out on that nice wide stance. Our hand is here and we're twisting towards that knee, pressing that knee slightly out. So you should feel an opening through the hip flexor that's on the back and opening through the inner thigh of that other side. Breathing. And just observing the thoughts and the process going through our head. Seeing if we can bring some awareness to that left side body and bring some awareness to the breath that's traveling within that side body. And just notice as your thoughts creep into your head that they're like waves on the ocean, right? They come in, they come out. And we're just going to watch the waves, experiencing them for all their serenity and movement, but not paying attention to one specific wave, if you will. Taking a nice deep inhale here. Exhale, let's press that foot back, lifting, peeling those toes up. We're going to find our hands come on either side of our leg, getting a nice, beautiful hamstring stretch here. Now, if you'd like, you could choose to have some yoga blocks on either side of your leg if you can't quite touch the ground. You could also have your hands on your upper thigh. The idea here is chest forward. We're going to imagine that we have these nice, beautiful ocean lines on the backside of our right leg here. And as we exhale, that ocean begins to soften. I want you to notice that that right hip slowly begins to sink back a little further. We're not forcing it. We're just guiding it and encouraging it. We're breathing that backside of that right leg nice and long. Feeling the ripple effect as it travels all the way down our leg. Taking one more inhale. Exhale, coming back into that lunge. Planting our hands. We'll step that right foot back, finding that all fours position again. This time we're picking up our left foot. We're taking it onto the outside of our left hand. And we're turning those toes slightly out. Right hand staying planted down onto the ground. And you could choose to take fists for wrists here if it is too much to keep that hand planted. Our left hand comes to our left sit bone or into the inner of our left thigh. We're going to take a nice deep inhale and we exhale, twisting towards that knee. So again, we're feeling that stretch on the inside of the leg that's back into that hip flexor and on the inside of the front leg into the your inner thigh here. So pressing it, twisting. Now finding our breath on that right side body. Can you breathe that right side body a little bit more open? Can you breathe it a little wider? Can you find a little bit more space? Taking one more inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to press it back, lifting, peeling those toes up. We find our hands come on either side of that left leg. And if they're not coming there, we could use blocks, or we can bring our hands to our thigh and just extending that chest nice and long. And again, bring our awareness back to the waves on the back side of that left leg if it's feeling really tight. And we're just going to breathe into those waves. We're synchronizing our breath with the waves as they come, as they wash away, easing the stress on the back side of that body, easing the muscles on the back side of that body, finding that calm, relaxing feeling. Feeling our shoulders melting away from our ears. Let's plant that left foot back down, hinging forward, coming back into that kneeling lunge, hands coming on either side of that foot, curling our back toes under. Let's step our right foot forward, finding ourselves coming forward into a standing forward fold. Now I want you to bend your knees as much as you need to allow that belly to sandwich on top of them. Whatever that means to you. You can plant your hands on the ground. You can plant your hands on your shins, on your thighs, on a yoga block here if it feels good to you. The idea here is that I want you to ground down through your hands, grounding down through our feet. And we're going to let that forehead drop down, just allowing that whole upper body to hang here. And just breathing. So I want us to notice as we're breathing here, we can lift our toes and we're planting them firmly. So just go ahead and roll the waves of your toes all through each other, one and then the next and the next. Noticing what that feels like in our forward fold. Can you roll your toes? And then planting them, and we're going to roll a little bit onto our toes and back into our heels. And just finding that little bit of rocking motion. Rocking can be quite soothing to us, right? Kind of like when a mother rocks a baby. It's very soothing. It's that rhythmic motion. Allowing that head to hang here, finding complete stillness, grounding down through all four corners of our feet. We find that we're finding our nice, deep, grounding roots growing out of our feet. Allowing those shoulders to relax down into our spine. Feeling strong and rooted like a tree. We're going to begin to walk our hands up our legs, one vertebrae at a time. Wonderful. So we're going to come into our tree pose here. Once we've grounded like a tree, we need to root down and become that tree. So picking up one foot, does not matter which side, we'll do the other side in a second. Kicking it out to the side like a kickstand, we're going to drag those toes into our body. And so this is one option for our tree pose. So you could keep the toes down on the ground if we're needing a little bit more support. If you'd like to take it a little wider and have that wider base, you could do that too. Completely up to you. This is your tree. If you'd like to practice a little bit of balance, bringing it slightly below the knee, or you can choose to bring it above the knee. The idea here is we're pressing those hips open, opening up through that side body, keeping those hips roughly parallel. Hands coming to heart center. Taking a nice deep inhale, finding that grounding sensation through the foot that's planted on the ground, rooting deep down into the universe. Finding our Pada Bandha, that root lock, that grounding sensation through that foot. And as we inhale, we're going to bring our hands up high above our head, inhaling at your own pace. Hands coming up nice and tall. And then we spread our branches. And just breathing here. Noticing, is there wind in your tree today? And that's totally okay. And just playing around with it. Maybe you have no wind and you want a little breeze because we're down by the ocean. We're practicing those ocean waves. Maybe you practice finding that breeze and motion in your tree. Or maybe you'd rather just grow that tree up nice and tall. It's completely up to you. It's your practice. It's your tree. Breathing, finding that stillness. Lifting through heart center. Let's do one more full breath. Exhaling, coming back down, coming back through center, planting that other foot. Taking a moment here, adjusting if you need to, kicking that foot out to the side like a kickstand. So this is the other side that we haven't done yet. And we're going to bring it on in, slide those toes in, finding that tree pose. So any of the variations that we just went over, finding your original tree pose. So getting into whatever we did on one side, we do the other. Opening, lifting, looking for two hips roughly in one line. Finding that nice tall position, heart center lifted. Take a nice deep inhale here. Rooting down into the universe, rooting down into the earth. Feeling our feet ground nice and deep. We are tall. We've got our Pada Bandha. We're going to take a nice deep inhale here, inhaling our arms up high above our head and finding those tree branches, but maybe they grow a little wider this time. Maybe you get a little bit of a chest expansion. It's completely up to you. It's your posture. So you could choose to go back to your waving tree. You can choose to come out to the nice wide cactus style arms, finding that chest expansion. Just staying tall, finding purpose. Taking one more inhale here. Bringing your hands back through heart center. Back, kicking it back out, finding that grounding sensation. Inhale, arms up high overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhaling up, finding that nice, beautiful monkey. Exhale, relaxing down into our forward fold. Let's do that one more time. Inhale up, finding monkey, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Let yourself hang, let yourself dangle. If it feels better to you, you could grab elbow to elbow and just let that low back go. Bringing that awareness back to our breath. Finding the comfort that we can in each posture. Let's ground down through our hands and slowly coming down, pressing it back into a puppy or a child's pose. So we did puppy already. And you can come back into puppy if it feels good. You could also press it back into a child's pose. So your choice, your expression. We want to ground down through that third eye, through that forehead. So if that means that we stack our wrists or hands, or maybe we use a yoga block. Again, finding that space, finding that grounding sensation. Let's try and breathe into that back body here, taking some nice, deep healing breaths, breathing into that back body, that spine. Can you expand through the rib cage on the back side? Can you find that space in your posture? Bringing awareness to that space between our eyebrows and just breathing into that space. Let's take one more breath here. And exhale, coming back up, coming back onto our knees. So we're going to come into a variation of camel here, and then we'll take hero pose, and then we'll be done for our day. So we're going to come up onto our knees underneath our hips, pressing through our hips stay over our knees, lifting through heart center. So our hands are nice and wide in our 5-pointed star, where our thumbs are on our breastbone, and we're just lifting up through heart center. So our shoulders drop down into the spine, and we're just lifting and finding that little bit of an expansion. And take a nice deep inhale here, opening those arms nice and wide. And as we exhale, we're going to curl forward, giving ourselves a nice, beautiful hug. Good. Inhale, opening up nice and wide. Exhale, crossing the other arm over this time, giving ourselves a hug. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. So there's actually so much research into hugging, and your body doesn't know the difference whether you hug yourself or somebody else hugs you. You get the same chemical release. So isn't that beautiful? We have that power within ourselves to make ourselves feel better. Everybody needs a hug once in a while. Giving yourself that hug, curling nice and tight, feel strong and supported. And exhale, coming back to our camel, lifting through heart center one more time. Taking a nice deep inhale here. And slowly sinking those hips back and down. Wonderful. So we're going to come into our hero pose. So our thumbs are going to come towards each other. We're going to rest our left hand on our lap and our right hand inside the left hand. Shoulders roll down and open. Heart center falls tall. We feel like we're being lifted up by a string up to the ceiling. That chest is lifted. Our core is tight. We're sitting up nice and tall. We're proud. We're ready to receive whatever energy the universe wants to send us. Taking some breath. And so often when we feel anxiety, we kind of talked about this already, we breathe into that upper respiratory system, right? Up into that upper chest. So we want to try and fill that lower abdomen with breath. We want to try and breathe all the way down to the tip of our tailbone. So we did that at the beginning of our practice. Let's try that a couple more times here. So taking a nice deep inhale. And exhale, let it go. So just noticing the path that your breath is traveling. With every inhale, can you breathe a little deeper into that spine? Can you sit up a little taller? Can you grow a little taller through the top of your head? Can you feel your core tighten? Feeling strong, supported, and calm where you're at peace. Breathing. I am relaxed here on my mat, and I am present in the moment. I am relaxed here on my mat, and I am present in the moment. Thank you so much for joining me here in this practice today. The light in me bows and honors the light in you. Namaste.